For 165 million years, they were the undisputed rulers of Earth, a dynasty of giants and hunters, armored titans and soaring predators that dwarfed anything that has come since. They were the ultimate story of success. And then, in a geological heartbeat, they were gone. The popular story is simple. A single asteroid struck, and the case was closed. But is that the whole truth? Was it a clean kill, or was something else at play? Now, let's open the case file on one of prehistory's greatest unsolved mysteries. The world, 66 million years ago, was a hothouse planet teeming with life. This was the peak of the Age of Reptiles. In North America, the formidable Tyrannosaurus rex was the apex predator, a 7-ton killing machine. Vast herds of Triceratops and duck-billed hadrosaurs roamed lush, subtropical floodplains. In the southern continents, long-necked titanosaurs, the largest land animals of all time, shook the ground with every step. The oceans were no safer, ruled by the 50-foot mosasaurs, colossal marine lizards with jaws that could crush bone and shell with equal ease. This wasn't just a world with dinosaurs. It was a world belonging to them. They had colonized every continent, every major ecosystem, and had done so for a span of time that makes human history look like a fleeting moment. Then, we come to the crime scene. Geologists call it the KPG boundary, a thin layer of rock separating the Cretaceous period from the Paleogene period. For a paleo investigator, it's a stark, chilling line in the sand. Below this line, the fossil record is a bustling metropolis of dinosaur activity. Skeletons, footprints, eggs, evidence of a thriving empire. But when we look at the layers directly above the boundary, there is an almost deafening silence. The giants are gone. 75% of all species on Earth vanished in this single moment. It's the geological equivalent of a mass disappearance with no witnesses. For over a century, the cause was pure speculation. That is, until the 1970s, when a team of scientists examining the KPG boundary clay in Italy found the first forensic clue, a chemical anomaly, an astronomical spike in the element iridium. On Earth's surface, iridium is incredibly rare, having sunk to the core during the planet's formation. But in asteroids and comets, it's abundant. This was no earthly signature. It was a fingerprint from outer space, found in the exact same layer all over the world. The case finally had a lead, a cosmic suspect. The iridium layer was the perfect fingerprint, a thin, global signature of an extraterrestrial culprit. But a fingerprint is only half the story. To close this case, investigators needed to find the body of the weapon itself, the impact crater. For a decade, the search was a scientific manhunt. The sheer scale of the iridium deposit told us the impactor was enormous, at least 10 kilometers across, and the resulting crater would be colossal, over 150 kilometers in diameter. But where was it? The geological record was scoured for clues. Around the Gulf of Mexico, scientists found a bizarre layer of jumbled rock, evidence of a mega tsunami hundreds of meters high. A wave so immense it could only have been generated by an oceanic impact of unimaginable power. They found shocked quartz, a mineral whose crystalline structure is fractured in a unique way only by the extreme pressures of a cosmic collision. These clues were like breadcrumbs, and the trail was leading to the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico. The smoking gun was finally located, hidden in plain sight. In the late 1970s, Geophysicists prospecting for oil had mapped a massive semicircular gravitational anomaly just off the coast. They noted it, but didn't understand its significance. It wasn't until 1990 that researchers put all the pieces together. This subterranean structure, centered on the village of Chicxulub, was the one. The crater was so vast, its true shape was only visible from space, and it had been buried under 66 million years of sediment. We had found the impact site. Now, we could reconstruct the crime. Our investigation shows the killer was a city-sized asteroid, punching into the atmosphere at 20 kilometers per second. It struck the shallow sea at the worst possible angle, around 60 degrees. This oblique impact maximized the amount of debris and vaporized rock blasted into the upper atmosphere. The initial energy release was more than 1 billion times that of the atomic bomb at Hiroshima. A flash of heat incinerated everything for hundreds of miles. Trillions of tons of rock were ejected, some of it arcing into space, with the rest raining back down as superheated glass beads, igniting global wildfires. A colossal tsunami, triggered by the impact, raced across the ancient ocean, scouring coastlines thousands of miles away. This was the single worst day in the history of life on Earth. But the immediate devastation wasn't the true murder weapon. That was slower and far more insidious. The Chicxulub asteroid struck a region rich in sulfur-bearing minerals. The impact vaporized this rock, injecting an estimated 300 billion tons of sulfur into the stratosphere. This formed a dense haze of sulfuric acid aerosols that, along with fine dust, shrouded the entire planet. Sunlight was blocked. Our climate models, forensic tools for recreating past worlds, show that global temperatures would have plummeted by as much as 15 degrees Celsius. For over a decade, Earth was plunged into a dark, freezing impact winter. On land and at sea, photosynthesis shut down. The base of every food chain on the planet was severed. Plants died, then the herbivores that ate them, and finally the carnivores that preyed upon them. The mighty dinosaurs, rulers of a warm, vibrant world, were now trapped in a cold, dark, and starving one. The evidence is overwhelming. The impactor has motive. It fundamentally changed the environment. It has means, the impact winter, and its fingerprint, the iridium, is at every crime scene on the globe. The case against the Chicxulub impactor seems airtight, an open and shut case of planetary assassination. But a good detective always questions a simple story. Was the victim, the dinosaur empire, as robust and healthy as it seemed? Or was it already weakened, vulnerable to a final blow? To answer this, we have to turn the investigation inward, from the killer in space to the health of the planet itself. When we analyze the fossil record in North America for the few million years before the impact, some unsettling patterns emerge. Certain studies of the famous Hell Creek Formation suggest that while dinosaurs were still present, their diversity was dropping. The number of large herbivore species, the foundation of the ecosystem, appears to have been dwindling. A system with less variety is a system with less resilience, an ecosystem teetering on the edge. This leads us to a second suspect, or at the very least, a co-conspirator. At the same time the dinosaurs' world may have been faltering, a different kind of catastrophe was unfolding on the other side of the planet, in modern-day India. Here, a series of volcanic eruptions on a scale that defies imagination were raging. Known as the Deccan Traps, this event saw lava flows covering an area half the size of Europe. For hundreds of thousands of years, these eruptions pumped colossal amounts of climate-altering gases, carbon dioxide and sulfur dioxide, into the atmosphere. This wasn't a sudden shock like the asteroid, but a slow, relentless poisoning of the global environment. It would have caused intense global warming, acid rain that stripped nutrients from the soil, and acidified the oceans. The Deccan traps had the motive and the means to destabilize the global climate and weaken the biosphere long before the asteroid ever appeared on the horizon. The investigation now faced a critical question. Did the Chicxulub impactor act alone, striking down a healthy, thriving dynasty? Or did it deliver a knockout blow to an empire already on its knees, battered and weakened by years of volcanic climate chaos? The crime scene was no longer simple. We had one killer confirmed at the scene, but evidence of a second, more insidious force that may have set the stage for the entire catastrophe. The verdict would depend on weighing the evidence against both. The investigation has presented us with two primary suspects: the swift, catastrophic Chicxulub impactor and the slow, insidious Deccan traps volcanism. One is a lone gunman, the other a long-term poisoner. To reach a verdict, we must weigh their methods and their timing relative to the crime itself. The evidence left at the KPG boundary, that sharp, globally consistent line of extinction, is our most crucial piece of forensic data. Its sheer abruptness speaks to a single, devastating event. Life was thriving one moment and gone the next. This timeline strongly implicates the impactor. A crisis that unfolds over hundreds of thousands of years, like the Deccan eruptions, simply does not match this pattern of sudden death. The impactor and the ensuing impact winter provides a direct, verifiable kill mechanism that explains the simultaneous collapse of both marine and terrestrial ecosystems. The iridium layer is the undeniable proof that this extraterrestrial killer was present at the exact moment the lights went out. So, is the impactor guilty alone? Not entirely. While the Deccan traps cannot be charged with the final murder, they are far from innocent. Our analysis of the pre-impact environment shows a planet already in distress. The relentless volcanism had been stressing the biosphere for millennia, creating a less stable, less resilient world. It was an accomplice, acting before the primary crime was even committed. The Deccan traps roughed up the victim, weakening its defenses and making it vulnerable to what was coming next. The world the asteroid struck was not the vibrant, unassailable fortress it had been for millions of years. It was a dynasty already showing cracks in its foundation. The final verdict, then, is not one of a single killer, but of a conspiracy. It was a perfect storm of destruction, a 1-2 punch from both inside the Earth and out. The Deccan traps dealt the first blow, a long campaign of environmental sabotage that crippled the planet's ecosystems. Then, at the moment of maximum vulnerability, the Chicxulub asteroid delivered the final, non-survivable blow. It was the ultimate assassination, made possible by a preceding, internal decay. The popular story is a myth. The dinosaurs were not simply erased by a random act of cosmic violence. Their fall was the result of a terrible coincidence, a planet turning on itself, just as the ultimate killer arrived from the sky. The case is closed. The case of the dinosaurs' extinction reveals a chilling verdict written into the rock. A world was brought to its knees by internal strife before being finished by an external shock. It's a profound reminder that dominance is fragile. No reign is forever, and the mightiest empires can be dismantled when the planet itself and the cosmos above conspire to create the perfect storm.